Hey gang, Bill Storm here with you, and it is study session Saturday. Now, I know you are probably seeing this for the first time on Tuesday, but Saturday is my day where I take some time to take a deep dive into some of the topics that I'm interested in, and certainly want to be able to pass those along and share with you. Now, remember, this is all about lessons in leadership. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for how do we show up as a leader? What do we need to do to improve ourselves? Because leadership truly does rise and fall from the top. So, chapter 3 of Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, is about overcoming your body. So, let's dive into that and how that relates to leadership. So, in chapter 3, Dr. Joe explores a truth that many of us grapple with on a daily. Okay. Our bodies often seem to control us more than we control them. Is that true? Yeah, absolutely. Now, some of you may immediately go to thinking about your physical body as far as weight control and things like that. But that's not really how I see it affecting me. One of the things that I know for sure is that there is a mind body connection. And many times our conscious mind is thinking that we want a certain thing, but our body feels very, very differently. So although we're telling the body to go, 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 the body's saying, oh no, we're not doing that, right? I don't believe that this is possible. I'm too anxious right now. I'm too uncertain right now, and therefore we go absolutely nowhere. We're basically stuck in neutral. So that this is the vantage point that I'm looking at this from today. Maybe you're looking at it slightly differently. So whether it's a craving, a stress response, or the constant pull of habitual emotions, the body can feel like an unstoppable force keeping us tethered to the past. So let's talk about that for a minute. Habitual emotions. What's one of the emotions that frequent you all the time? Like you're constantly feeling a certain way. Are you constantly feeling angry? Are you constantly feeling frustrated? Are you constantly feeling anxious? Maybe you're happy. I don't know. But what's one of those emotions? Maybe something that's limiting you from showing up as your very best as the leader in your personal and professional life. So what Joe says is here's the empowering news. Your body is not the boss. Now it feels that way sometimes, but he's saying your body is not the boss. It's your mind that holds the key to change. So by understanding how the body and mind are intertwined, right, and how the body can become addicted to emotional states, now you can begin to break free from self-sabotaging patterns. Okay, so that's interesting, right? The body can become addicted to an emotional state, right? So it's like literally, if you're not in that state, you could go through a withdrawal, and it wants to pull you back into that state, even if you don't want it to, right? That's what an addiction is. So Dr. Joe Dispenza provides us with the tools to overcome this body-mind disconnect and regain the power to live intentionally rather than reactively. This is one of the things that I've been very, very focused on. And in fact, I keep seeing this come up over and over again. John Maxwell, in his book, 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, the very first law is growth has to be intentional. So that word intentional is there again. We have to be conscious of what we intend to do. So let's dive in here and take a look at some key takeaways from this chapter. Number one, your body is addicted to the familiar. Your body is addicted to the familiar. So every time you experience an emotion, whether it's joy, stress, anger, or fear, your brain releases chemicals that your body processes. So this is a chemical reaction that's taking place. So over time, if you consistently feel certain emotions, your body becomes physically addicted to the corresponding chemical cocktail. So for example, if you've been stressed for years, your body starts to crave stress like a drug, even if it's harmful to you. So the key insight here is the body learns to run the show, prompting you to feel and act in ways that reinforce its addiction to familiar emotional states. So this is what I want you to think about for a second. What are some things that you feel on a regular basis? Because if you feel those things, that means that your brain is releasing chemicals that your body is processing. And over time, it's literally creating an addiction, right? For it, this is the chemical cocktail. So it craves it. Now, you could choose to either release chemicals that you crave something that's good, or you could crave something that's bad for you. True? Okay, so this is where the intentionality has to come in. And does this take work? 100%. This is very, very hard work, but you're in a leadership position. You chose something hard to do, right? If it was easy, everyone would do it. We all know that saying. Number two, your thoughts signal your body. So the body doesn't operate independently. It takes cues from the mind. So every single thought that you have sends a signal to the body, triggering emotions, behaviors, and psychological responses. So if you constantly think about past or worry, then that's where you're going to get stuck, right? So if you constantly think about the past or worry about the future, your body will reflect those mental patterns, and that's what keeps you trapped in in a cycle of reactive living, right? This is where most people live. We constantly live in reaction mode. This happened, so this is how I react, right? We're not living intentionally. It's all reactive. So the key insight here is to change your body's habitual responses. You first have to change your thoughts. Not so easy, right? Not so easy. Number three, you can reprogram your you can reprogram your body's responses. So breaking free from the body's conditioning requires teaching it a new way to feel and respond. Now, that was a hard one. I thought about that for a second. I said, wait a minute. I have to condition my mind. Just like if I went to the gym to condition my muscles to grow, I have to do this with my own mind to feel a different way than how it currently feels. Not easy. So what this does is this involves disrupting old patterns, creating new ones, and training your body to follow your mind instead of the other way around. So the only way to do this is to catch yourself in an old pattern. That's what you have to do, because this is literally like living in your nervous system. And Tony Robbins says it like this, right? He said it's like a record, right? And it'll play the same sad song over and over and over again until you disrupt the pattern, which means putting a big gouge in the record or putting a scratch in the CD, so it can't play that song anymore. That's what we're looking at doing here. Again, very conscious effort here. So the key insight is true transformation begins when you teach your body to feel what your mind envisions. So if your mind, if you're envisioning peace, abundance, joy, happiness, togetherness, great relationships, finances are in order. So what we have to do then, according to Dr. Joe, is teach our body to feel what our mind wants before the external circumstances reflect those states, right? So we can't manifest the thing until we first see it and then we feel it. We have to have both. It can't just be based on logic. It has to be based on your physiology and what you feel. So here's some action steps from Dr. Joe on overcoming your body. So number one is observe your emotional habits. So start by identifying the emotions that are dominating your day-to-day life. So are you anxious? Are you frustrated? Do you feel stuck? Are you sad? So recognize these emotional patterns as signals of your body's conditioning, right? So what he's saying is you have conditioned your body to feel this way. This is why you keep going back to that same thing. It's like a little prison you've created for yourself. So the action step is keep a journal for a week, right? Take out your journal. If you don't have one, start one, right? Just pencil and paper, or you can be digital if you want to get fancy. But keep a journal for a week, and each day jot down the dominant emotions you're feeling in the situations that trigger them. So this is what he's saying about being intentional, right? We have to become consciously aware of what's going on in our mind and what is the frequency, what are we broadcasting out into the universe? Are we broadcasting anxiety, frustration, or sadness, or are we broadcasting something positive, something that is empowering? Now you ask yourself, are these emotions reactions to my current reality, or are they habitual responses based on my past? So are we getting ourselves worked? So let's say you take a look at your current situation. There's nothing really bad happening. Everything is fine, right? Your body feels fine. Your mind feels fine. There's nothing really going on. But then all of a sudden you start to feel this emotion of anxiety or frustration or sadness or whatever it is. That would be something that is based on your past. So number two is to interrupt the emotional loop. So when you notice yourself slipping into a familiar emotional pattern, right? So for example, maybe you feel stressed after opening your email. You're just bombed with email and you start to feel anxious or stressed about that. Pause and disrupt the loop. So this might feel uncomfortable at first because your body is used to running on autopilot, but it's a critical step. So there's a lot of different ways that you could do this. I mean, if you're into physical fitness, for example, right, if you start to feel stressed, you could literally stop right down or stop right there, jump out of your chair and do 10 burpees, right? I mean, you could do something to interrupt the pattern because now you're not looking at the email anymore, and you're going to release those endorphins in your body. You're going to get your heart rate up, and then when you stop, you're going to just kind of detox and stress out. Maybe you just stop. Maybe it's so stressful to you that you just say to yourself, stop, right? I'm not going to think about this anymore. I'm going to go do something else. So maybe you go outside and you take a walk. Maybe that's how you stop yourself. Maybe you dance it out, right? Maybe you're a little bit funny and crazy that way, and putting on a song and bouncing around for a little while. Maybe that helps you. Maybe that helps you do it. Maybe it's taking a pause. I know one of the things my wife and I do all the time is we'll take a pause, and it's the way for me to kind of break free. And we go have a cup of coffee. And just doing that is intentional, right? It's intentional to break up that pattern so it doesn't continue to build and build and build. So action, the next time you feel a strong emotional response rising, stop and take 5 slow, deep breaths. Now, some people will do this with a cigarette, right? Now, we don't want to do that, obviously, because you're inhaling tar and nicotine, and that's not good for you. But that's literally why people go and do that, right? They go take a smoke break to escape the thing that they're feeling, to go take these long, slow, deep breaths, but they're just doing it with a cigarette. So you could try to do the same thing just without the cigarette, okay? So as you breathe, repeat a calming affirmation like, I am in control of my thoughts and emotions, right? Or maybe it's, this too shall pass, right? Or maybe you could say, I am stronger than my environment, right? So, or you could just say, I am conscious of my thoughts right now. And that's okay, right? It doesn't matter if instead of trying to control them, you can just say, hey, I caught you, right? I see you, right? This is the first time I'm paying attention to you, and I see you, rearing your ugly head, but I'm not going to let you disturb me, right? I'm going to stay centered here. I'm going to go for a walk. And because I am consciously aware of you, now I can defend against you, right? I'm not going to let you stay in my thoughts. I'm not going to let you to continue to antagonize me, right? I am going to acknowledge you and then let you go. Number 3, teach your body a new way to feel. So to overcome the body's emotional addiction, you need to place old feelings with new, okay? To overcome the emotional addictions, you need to replace old feelings with new elevated emotions. Okay, so this part is hard, right? This part is hard because if you're in the heat of the moment or you're really, really feeling a certain way, there are times when you're just like, you know what, I just don't want to do that, right? I want to be angry right now because this is what I'm used to. And you're going to have to use a little bit of self-discipline here. Unfortunately, guys, that's what it takes. It takes you wanting to not allow those things to defeat you bad enough that you put in the work, right? So visualization and meditation are powerful tools to this process. Now, some people don't do well visualizing. Some people don't do well meditating. They have to do something else. They have to put themselves in a different state. So for example, again, I'll go back to something like athletics. I've been in martial arts my entire life. That is a great form of exercise because it combines mind, body, and spirit. So if I'm feeling a certain way and I'm not feeling good, right? I'm not feeling empowered. My emotions are all over the place. If I stop and I go and I take a class and I do some training, by the time I'm done, I feel much better, right? I literally feel much better. So everybody's form of how they're going to deal with this is going to be a little bit different. But the thing is if you know that if I go and I do this thing, or if I spend time doing this thing, I'm going to feel better. Well, then every time you start to feel one of those emotions you don't like and it's not serving you, well, now you know you need to say stop, right? And now you need to go do something else to anchor in feeling good, right? That's what we're looking for. But Dr. Joe says, hey, spend 10 minutes each morning visualizing a future where you feel empowered, joyful, and abundant. Seriously, how many of us do that? How many of us actually do that? Or do we just get up look at our to-do list, grab a cup of coffee, and get to work, right? We've all been taught this. Hey, you need to hustle and grind. You're a leader. First one in the office, last one to leave. Terrible advice, right? But how many of us actually spend time to envision what we actually want our life to look like, not only in the future, but today, like right now? What do we want the next hour to even look like? How do we want to feel? So I feel good, I feel powerful, I feel joyful, I feel abundant, and I'm living a life and I'm not just getting dragged through life, right? I'm not getting dragged through the mud. Number next, focus not just on the mental picture, but on how it feels to live in that future, right? You keep hearing this word feels. It's all about feeling. We're very emotional creatures. So it's not what we logically think about, it's how we feel. So we need to teach our body to experience those emotions now, even before the external reality matches them. So there's the irony in that. You're never going to reach the external reality. It's never going to manifest until you feel successful, right? You can't become successful and then feel better. You have to feel successful in order to become successful. You have to become a successful thinker. You have to be grounded. You have to be centered. You have to be in charge of your emotions. You have to become greater than your environment to become successful. So you have to feel it before you can have it. Number 4, break physical routines that reinforce the old you. So your physical habits often mirror your emotional patterns. So if you always reach for comfort food, for example, when you're stressed, or you scroll on your phone to escape boredom, how many of you do that? How many of you just scroll endlessly because you're bored and you just can't sit with yourself, right? I know that's me sometimes. I need to practice that on a daily basis of just being okay doing nothing. So these actions that you're taking, though, reinforce the body's control. So break the cycle by introducing new intentional habits. So here's an action. Replace one autopilot behavior with an intentional action. So for example, instead of reaching for a snack when you're stressed, go take a walk, right? Do that instead. So catch yourself saying, oh man, I'm feeling hungry. I'm not really hungry, but I'm going to go find a snack because I'm bored and I've got nothing else to do. So when you catch yourself doing that, then you have to stop yourself and say, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to walk out the door and I'm going to go take a walk, right? Number next, replace mindless scrolling with journaling or meditation. This is a thing that's been very, very helpful to me, is to get rid of a lot of activity on social media. Matter of fact, I had over 5,000 friends, if you want to call it, like on Facebook, for example, and now I have just over 200 or something like that, because most of those people weren't even really my friends. So what am I paying attention to this for? That they don't interact with me. I wasn't interacting with them. It just didn't make any sense. It was nonsense. So I just started to get rid of some of that stuff, so that those kinds of things wouldn't pop up and waste my time. So instead, I'm using my favorite journal, my Zig Ziglar Peak Performance Planner, in the journal that comes along with it. And as I'm studying, which I'm doing now, right, we're going through this together, this is where I'm journaling and I'm writing down notes on things that are going to add value to my life, to my brain, right, to my soul, instead of things that are going to distract me from those things. Number 5, cultivate emotional discipline. So Dr. Joe emphasizes that true transformation comes from emotional discipline, the ability to choose your emotional state regardless of external triggers. And I love this exercise, is to find a place that we would call your center, right? Where is your place that no one can touch? And when something starts to trigger you, you can go to that place. It is like a force field. No one can get in there. Kind of like that sign that says, no one sees the wizard, not no way, not no how. So nobody can get through that door into that place where you are. So Dr. Joe says, when you feel tempted to fall back into old emotions, pause and ask yourself, is this how the future version of me wants to feel? Right? Is this how the future version of me would feel? And as a leader, is this how I want to show up? Or is this the weak, unempowered version of myself? And sometimes just by asking yourself, you can give yourself a little pep talk and say, hell no, I'm not doing this, right? Number next, commit to embodying emotions like gratitude, love, and excitement, even in small ways throughout your day. You know, if you live in the good old US of A, right, or, most developed countries, you are a pretty fortunate person. we can pretty much create what we want. We can say what we want for the most part. We can do what we want. We can be as successful as we want. We can live our lives pretty much the way we want to, do that. We've got food, we've got water, we've got a roof over our head, we've got people that love us. I mean, there's a lot there to be grateful for, but most of the time we spend on crabbing about things that we don't like, right? And social media and things like that make it even worse. It just gives you more things to envy and get angry about, or put our focus and attention in the wrong places. So why does this matter? Here's the path to true freedom, right? Overcoming your body isn't just about improving your emotional state. It's about reclaiming your power, taking your power back. So when you teach your body to follow your mind, you break free from the cycles, right? These cycles that have held you back of stress, fear, and self-doubt. And the newfound freedom allows you to do the things that you actually want to do, actually achieve your goals. Imagine that, right? You actually achieve the goals by aligning your emotions with your vision. You become a magnet for opportunities and success. Now, I'm not saying that there is this, magical secret or something like that. It's not a secret. I mean, it's something that's been known by many a wise person throughout the ages, is the fact that you have to connect your mind, body, and spirit. They all have to be on the same page, and you have to tap into and understand that your environment doesn't control you, right? And I like to say it like this: you're a child of God. I mean, you were literally created in his image. What could possibly stop you, right? The only thing that stops you is you, because you've disconnected from that feeling and you feel like a victim, right? And you feel like the world is in control of what you're capable of. And that's just not true. You are a creator. You just have to remember that. Number next, improve your health, right? So shifting, if you're a leader, you have to be in good health, because if you're not in good health, you can't lead, and nothing else really matters, right? I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what title you have. If you're sick, then you're in bad shape, right? I mean, you're not only going to be able to not achieve your goals, but you're not going to help other people achieve their goals. You're not going to be able to complete your mission and vision that you're thinking of. And it's all because you just let yourself get out of control. So shifting from stress-based emotion to elevated states like gratitude, that can improve your immune system, right? It reduces inflammation and enhances your overall well-being. There are so many examples of this where people work themselves to death, they're stressed to death, and then they have a heart attack, and then they wonder why, right? They look at their diet like that's the problem. Well, it's not just the diet of what you're putting into your face, what you're consuming, what you're eating, but it's also your diet of what's going on between your own two ears and what's going on in your heart. That's part of your diet also. And then number next, strengthen your resilience. When you're no longer a slave to your body's reaction, you can respond to challenges with clarity and confidence. So final thoughts on this, right? Overcoming your body is one of the most liberating steps in personal transformation, but I am here to tell you it's one of the most difficult. So you have to step up and say, who am I? Are you strong enough to take on this battle, right? Can you take on this enemy? Because it is going to take conscious effort. You're going to have to be intentional about your own growth as a leader. So it's not about ignoring your emotions or suppressing them, right? We're not left braining it and doing that kind of thing. It's about becoming a master of them. So as Dr. Joe Dispenza reminds us, change requires being greater than your body. Change requires being greater than your body. So the next time your body tempts you to react in an old familiar way, take a deep breath and remember, you have the power to choose who you're becoming. Hope you enjoyed that study session today, everyone, and I'm looking forward to seeing you back here for chapter 4 next week.